Next at 5, powerful storms hitting parts of this area. Will we see more damage like this? Stay tuned for the severe thunderstorm warnings in Westmoreland and elsewhere. And Christina Aguilera talks about her big summer tour. Action News is next.
Yes, fly our official carrier, American Airlines. American and American Eagle provide service to dozens of warm destinations in Florida, Mexico, the Bahamas, and the Caribbean. American Airlines, something special to the sun. Closed captioning provided by the maker of the following product.
At last, hurt-free tape from Johnson & Johnson. It doesn't hurt when you take it off.
This is WTAE TV Pittsburgh. Right now, Channel 4 Action News is taking action for you.
Tonight, Hillary Rodham Clinton in Pittsburgh looking for labor support.
Continuing coverage, the Toll Plaza disaster. How did it happen?
And tonight's big story, planes, profits, and people. What it means to Pittsburgh.
Good evening, everyone. Certainly we have a lot to cover tonight, and we will get to the takeover news in just a minute.
First, more unsettled weather moves into our region, and Joe's tracking that for us. Let's check in with him first. Joe.
Well, Michelle, we do have some scattered thunderstorm activity in the area. First off, not nearly as numerous today as they were yesterday, but if you're in the path of one, we've got a problem. And here's the latest regional radar, and you can see that yellow area that pops up means areas covered by that yellow severe thunderstorm watch is in effect up until 9 o'clock tonight. And as those storms continue to move eastward, here are the counties currently with a severe thunderstorm warning. It is in Westmoreland and also counties to the northeast. Nothing in our area or to the west, but even through Westmoreland County now, that activity has continued to move east. Let's take a look at live pinpoint Doppler weather radar. And as you can see, nothing through Allegheny County and Westmoreland County or counties to the south or the west until you get just northwest of Beaver County. That area is moving towards the east-southeast. The major areas we're concerned about right now is to our east-northeast, and in that area we do have some activity in the form of showers and thunderstorms, as you can see, just south of Indiana, Pennsylvania, coming up on Altoona. These storms continue to move eastward. They are producing some hail, and here are some estimates of times when that activity will continue to move into that area. But it's coming up on Altoona, Newburgh at about 11 minutes after the hour. Most of the activity now, as you can see, is to our northeast and east. We'll continue to monitor the situation. As it changes, we'll get back to you. But right now, in the metropolitan area of Pittsburgh, not a problem. Details later. Now back to Michelle and Scott.
Thank you, Joe. Now back to our big story, U.S. Airways. Lots of jobs, lots of flights, lots of stock.
That's it. Just about everyone around here will be affected by this $12 billion deal one way or another, if it happens. Tonight, high-stakes business and real-world impact. If you work for U.S. Airways, is your job secure? If you fly U.S. Airways, will life in the air get better or worse? If you own stock, $60 may sound great, but hold on, some say the United deal is not good enough. A lot to cover. Let's start with Sheldon Ingram, live in New York City, where he heard the deal details. Sheldon.
Well, the U.S. Air employees were caught totally off guard by this $11.6 billion deal. Some of the employees are calling it bittersweet because the name U.S. Airways will soon disappear. But the chairman for United Airlines and U.S. Airways are saying this deal is guaranteed with a lot of promises for the good. A deal is established, paving the way for a super air carrier to emerge. With the purchase of U.S. Airways, United Airlines is expected to blanket the U.S. and develop a workforce of 145,000 employees, while increasing flights for customers, putting a cap on ticket prices for 2 years.
Now, there's clearly a lot of hurdles in front of us, but we anticipate that this transaction can be completed in the first quarter of the year 2001.
In Pittsburgh, a chief concern centers around the future of the thousands of U.S. Airways employees. U.S. Airways Chairman Stephen Wolf says their future is protected by a no-furlough protection.
One of the most important principles guiding our decision was the necessity to achieve long-term security and career opportunities for U.S. Airways employees.
We are going to need the very talented people that are working for U.S. Air to come over and work for United Airlines. We believe that there's value in telling people there's going to be no furlough potential.
But such certainty is not expressed about the future of the highly publicized $600 million maintenance facility project for U.S. Airways in Pittsburgh. Will United Airlines pursue the maintenance facility, the $600 million maintenance facility in Pittsburgh in 2 years?
I'm not in a position to answer that now. Stephen addressed where they are. And
We take new airplanes, which are doing one a week or more right now. We take a new one in and an old one out. The new one requires effectively no maintenance for 5 years, and the old one requires a great deal. So our gross maintenance workload is going down.
Now, as far as travelers are concerned, United Airlines is promising customers increased flights across the country, as well as a cap on fares for about 2 years. In addition to that, they're also promising consolidated frequent flyer programs under United Airlines. Reporting live from New York, Sheldon Ingram, Channel 4 Action News.
Okay, Sheldon, thank you. United is promising to continue service to all cities now served by U.S. Airways if this deal goes through, plus offer dozens of new domestic and international flights. Some of the things they're talking about: from Pittsburgh, United would introduce daily nonstop service to San Jose, California, Portland, Oregon, plus add 2 nonstops a day to Denver. Overseas, United says you'll be able to fly with just one stop to Beijing, Tokyo, Seoul, Singapore, Buenos Aires, Rio de Janeiro, and other Latin American cities.
Now, because U.S. Airways flies 86% of the flights in and out of Pittsburgh International, a takeover will affect nearly all air travelers around here. So, what about ticket prices, frequent flyer miles, flight options? It's not too early to talk to Wendy Bell about the consumer impact. Wendy. That's right, Michelle. You know, we wondered what this merger could possibly cost Pittsburgh travelers, people like you and me. We spoke with the owner of a travel agency today who told us in the short run a merger could be a big bonus for consumers, but the travelers we caught up with at Pittsburgh International weren't quite so sure.
A giant United with more flights to more places could make the skies a lot sunnier for travelers. So what could this mega merger mean to consumers? United says it will freeze its fares for at least 2 years, so no major rate hikes. That's good. The airline's frequent flyer programs would merge into United's program, but travelers wouldn't lose any U.S. Airways miles they have now. And with one larger airline, travelers could have fewer plane changes and baggage transfers. Of course, United is pushing the positives. The company's quick to point out all the benefits a bigger, better airline can offer people like you and me. But we wondered, what does the everyday average consumer think?
My main concern is that they keep nonstop service out of Pittsburgh to most of the cities across the U.S. If they don't keep Pittsburgh as a hub, then you run into the same problem you do in other locations where you have to travel someplace else to get where you want to go.
As a traveler, what do you think about this?
Just so they don't get rid of the little one-way or express planes.
Ah, that's important to you.
Yes.
Where do you travel?
Charleston. Non-stop.
And so you take those little commuter planes.
That's correct.
It's less competition now, you know. If this one airline now, the competition will be probably more bad.
And with less competition, who knows about prices down the road?
I think you'll wind up seeing the skies dominated by United, Delta, and American.
And what about pricing?
You know, pricing is a variable of, you know, the competition. In all likelihood, you'll probably see prices continue to increase.
The deal would likely mean big changes for frequent flyers. It would effectively end the frequent flyer partnership between U.S. Airways and American, and it would call into question United's and Delta's frequent flyer alliance.
Now, we also wondered about those e-savers, you know, the low fares posted every Wednesday online. Well, the travel agent we spoke with today told us United and U.S. Airways would probably merge those programs so consumers could still take advantage of them. And if you have something to say, if you want to take a survey today, you can. You can log on to the PittsburghJournal.com. We've got a survey, and you can put your opinion in there so we can talk about that maybe down the road if this actually gets approved.
A little discussion.
Yeah, lots to talk about. Thanks, Wendy. Sure.
Well, let's talk about some of the roadblocks, or runway blocks, if you want to call them that. United pilots may oppose the deal. Also, there's a lot of talk about other airlines. They may jump in to offer more money.
And because the deal would give United 25% of all flights in this country, government regulators will have a serious say. Alex Lee is covering that part of the story from our Washington bureau. Alex.
Well, Scott, Michelle, you're right. Government regulators as well as company shareholders still have to approve this deal in order for it to go through. But this is how it's going to work here in Washington. The Justice Department will have to review the deal very carefully, market by market, looking at the routes in each area and the competition that exists there. This could take many months. Congress also wants to take a look at the proposed merger. Hearings are already planned here on Capitol Hill. Today, our Pennsylvania senators weighed in.
I think we have to proceed cautiously to make sure that Pennsylvania's interests are protected and the nation's interests are protected.
Long-term concern about having one dominant air carrier in your state is certainly a concern here in Pennsylvania, and we'd like to flesh that out a little bit in our discussions with.
Now, both senators say that their #1 priority and concern is the 17,000 U.S. Airway jobs that are located in Pennsylvania. They say the competition issue could give them leverage in their talks with United. They want to talk with airline officials about how this merger could affect construction of a new terminal and whether a new maintenance facility can still be located in Pittsburgh. Scott, back to you.
All right, now, Alex, this proposed merger is kind of, well, it's unlike a lot of the other airline deals the government has looked at in the past decade, so they're kind of cutting some fresh ground here.
Well, that's right, Scott. Back in the 90s, what was happening was that there were bigger carriers buying up the smaller ones. But in this case, these are two big airlines. So it's very unclear at this point whether government regulators are going to push this through. Scott?
All right, we'll see. Thank you, Alex, for that part of the story. Now, what about the employees? 17,000 in Pennsylvania, 12,000 of those in this area. For many, the news of the proposed takeover is just settling in and maybe leaving them feeling unsettled. Sean Yancey is continuing our coverage now with that part of the story. Sean?
Scott, as you said, 12,000 employees right here at Pittsburgh International. I talked to them today, and they tell me they don't care one way or another if United Airways is taking over. The only thing they're concerned about is if they keep their jobs. This is an actual letter that Chairman Stephen Wolf is sending out to employees, guaranteeing their jobs with United. Despite word of a takeover, it was business as usual today for the 12,000 Pittsburgh area U.S. Airways employees. Planes landed and took off. Pilots, flight attendants, ticket takers, and maintenance workers all on the job, but all a little surprised. How'd you find out about this, first of all?
On the news last night. It flashed across the screen.
Last night on Channel 4 News at 8:45, little blip on TV. That's how I found out.
Did this take you by surprise at all?
Yes, yes. Usually there's a lot of rumors beforehand, but there was nothing. Not even a little whispers.
Not even flight attendant Janine Manila knew about the takeover, and she's been with U.S. Airways 26 years.
I was shocked because we never heard anything about it at all. Usually hear rumors.
I kind of choked when I first saw it. I was just surprised, but you know, after hearing what's going on, if everything works out the way they say, it's a good thing.
I don't know whether I'm surprised, pleased, or surprised, disappointed. I think it's too early to tell. It's kind of exciting, kind of scary.
And kind of scary for many employees, especially when it comes to making sure they keep their jobs.
As far as job security, I think we're concerned every day. So it's just a matter of rolling with whatever happens, and we take it from there.
You know, they've said that the jobs are going to be protected, so...
You trust them?
Yes.
And even though they've been told that their jobs are guaranteed, one source told me that they are guaranteed for the next 2 years, but that does not guarantee they will stay here in Pittsburgh, and doesn't even guarantee their jobs after that 2-year period. So a lot of waiting around and seeing. Reporting live from Pittsburgh International, I'm Sean Yancey. Scott, back to you.
All right, Sean, thanks. Let's take a quick peek at the U.S. Airways stock. Lots of employees own stock. What's happened over the last 2 days? Well, the stock closed at 26 5/16 yesterday. Now, after the announcement, it is closed today at 48 3/4. That's shy of the $60 offer price, but still a 22.5-point gain. So that would be a big gain for any U.S. Airways stockholder. Now, Action News looked into this, and Chairman Stephen Wolf owns over 2.1 million shares of the stock. So just between yesterday and today, he's worth an extra $48 million. Needless to say, there are a lot of county concerns tonight about this deal. U.S. Airways is a major player at Pittsburgh International, the major player, and that means big bucks for the county. Ted Coppy is working on that part of the story. We're going to have that in the 5:30 segment of our broadcast. And, of course, you can catch up on the story anytime for in-depth details and analysis on our website, thepittsburghchannel.com.
Right now, let's turn to some other big news in our area. We know Hillary Clinton as her husband's political partner. Today, Pittsburgh's the site for her continuing emergence as a candidate on her own. Bob Mayo was there as the New York U.S. Senate candidate courted the Service Employees National Convention downtown.
This is Hillary Rodham Clinton in her own right. A politician pitching herself to a labor crowd in Pittsburgh as a champion of tax breaks for working families and a higher minimum wage.
Anyone who works full-time in this country should not bring home a wage that leaves him or her and their children in poverty. Let's make work pay for every American.
Hillary, the candidate, also has an education platform.
And I want to throw open the doors of college education to every young person and make college tuition tax deductible for working families and middle-income families across the country.
And she hasn't given up on health care issues.
And we need to lower the cost of prescription drugs for everybody, not just for people on Medicare, but for all the rest of us as well.
She's done a lot for children. She's given a lot of strength to women in general with everything she's gone through. But in general, she's a very positive person.
It's that sort of national support that's making Hillary Clinton a Democrat in demand beyond the borders of her U.S. Senate race in New York. Not only to campaign for Al Gore for president, but also to raise money and support for Democratic candidates for Congress. Downtown at the SEIU convention, Bob Mayo, Channel 4 Action News.
And a labor rally during this labor convention. Thousands of healthcare workers took a stand with nurses at Allegheny General Hospital during a late morning rally. The nurses are working to negotiate a first contract. AGH nurses joined the union just last November.
Well, we've been covering the storms happening today, but let's turn the clock back. You probably heard, saw, or were in one of the storms last night. People in one small town outside of Steubenville, Ohio, certainly got the worst of it. They are cleaning up today. Christine Sorensen checked out the damage there.
Lightning strikes flashed across the region. Storm clouds loomed in the distance, caught on home video, and tree debris violently danced in the air.
First it just kind of fascinated me, and then I kind of got spooky because it got real hot before it hit.
Hit Charlotte Conaway's shed, tearing it into a mess of metal in minutes.
I looked at my building because it just went up and it was standing. And I went to holler for my husband to come look, and I just turned around and had my back to the door. When I turned around again, the building was gone.
Trees are gone too, snapped in half. Horizontal trunks are everywhere and branches are blown across lawns. Bill Simmons' Christmas tree farm took a hit. He lost about 100 trees from storm damage.
At about 5:15 yesterday, we saw just the trees just started to bend double. And in 3 or 4 minutes, looked out and there were just a lot of trees flattened. And there's a lot of cleanup to be done all over this village.
With the spring thunderstorm season just getting underway, many people here are anxious to know what else will blow through if this is just the beginning. In Bloomingdale, Ohio, I'm Christine Sorensen, Channel 4 Action News.
And of course, we'll continue to cover the storms that are happening this afternoon across the area as well.
In the meantime, 2 teenage girls abducted from a mall.
Coming up, a brutal ending and a murder suspect on the run. And that fiery crash at a turnpike toll booth, investigators close in on what really happened.
If this is your name and city, call within 10 minutes to win $2,000. Who wants to be a millionaire on Channel 4? Tonight on Action News at 11, welcome to Boot Camp. Now, Team 4 takes you inside, showing you the price local men are paying to stay out of prison.
Some of these guys get more discipline in one day than they ever had their entire life.
Know about what's inside there. You're paying millions to keep it open, so why are your local judges not using it? Team 4 investigates Boot Camp, tonight on Action News at 11.
Chrysler Concorde, 4-wheel independent suspension.
action in a powerful V6.
I didn't know Davis could move like that. I told him to think of himself as something powerful and agile. Wonder what he was thinking.
Buy now and choose 0.9% financing. That's less than 1%. Or choose $1,000 cash allowance.
An important message for anyone exposed to asbestos. If you or a family member worked in a mill, power plant, or in construction and have been diagnosed with or died from lung cancer or mesothelioma, you may still be able to recover damages for an asbestos-related disease. Call Caroselli Beechler today for a free consultation. 1-888-427-2529. There's no fee unless damages are recovered. Caroselli Beechler, helping injured workers and their families for more than 25 years.
From Tampa Bay all the way to Tahiti, it's easy to love. Yes, indeedy. With Edie, the sweetie, or throw in confetti. Everything rhymes with reunity. It rhymes with good times, you and me. When reunity is pouring, it's pure poetry. Reunity, the casual wine with the irresistible personality. Everything rhymes with reunity. Yes, everything rhymes.
DeWalt's convertible system, the latest thing in cordless. 24 volts, never out of juice. The Delta 10-inch compound miter saw cuts angles on top of angles. I'll see you on Father's Day. Milwaukee's latest. This thing could cut a house down. I love this tool.
So where do you find them? At Lowe's. The moment they're available and at a guaranteed low price. Lowe's, improving home improvement. Don't miss our Memorial Day free-for-all. Great deals on selected products, only at Lowe's.
What's the hurry? Every athletic shoe in stock is 25% off at Value City, but only this week. Hey, it's your money. Get more for it.
Awful night, but traffic is moving again now along the Pennsylvania Turnpike near the Ohio border.
But the investigation into last night's fiery truck explosion goes on. A Texas truck driver died when his rig slammed into a turnpike toll plaza at the Enon Valley Exchange. Marcy Cipriani is back at the plaza today with new details about what happened. Marcy.
Take a look at this toll plaza behind me where 3 toll booths burst into flames, and nearly a day later it is still unclear exactly what happened here. The final pieces of the tractor trailer, barely recognizable, were hauled away from the accident site nearly 16 hours later. But the signs of yesterday's deadly accident remain. 3 toll collectors were seriously burned. The truck driver, Kenneth Konechny, was killed.
At this point, we can't determine if through witness statements or through the road conditions that existed at the time of the accident, whether he did, in fact, try to apply his brakes.
What state police do know is that the driver slammed into a barrier just like this one, knocked down a light post, then his truck burst into flames just under a toll booth.
It could have health reason. He could have fallen asleep.
The driver was hauling wax for Covenant Transport, a company out of Tennessee whose safety rating is considered satisfactory, a company that has had 280 crashes in the past 2 years, 12 of them fatal.
There is no more profession that has a higher rate of fatalities than truck driving.
And that's one reason Michael Fitz is on his last run for Covenant.
Yeah, every single time you see a driver die or know about it, it affects you.
The Turnpike Commission says it has taken every precaution to assure accidents like this one don't happen, but they say a runaway truck was something they simply couldn't plan for. Right now, 8 of the 11 lanes here are open, and Turnpike Commission tells me that they plan to bring in a temporary lane to have that open for the holiday weekend. I did try to speak with Covenant Transport, but they have no comment on this accident. Reporting live, Marcy Cipriani, Channel 4 Action News.
All right, Marcy, thank you.
And a terrible thing happened in Dover, Ohio last night. That's south of Canton. 2 girls, both 17, went to rent a video. A man at the mall there offered them $20 for a ride home, and the girls said okay. Police say the man killed one girl, raped the other, and then pushed her off a Dover bridge into the Tuscarawas River. She survived. No sign of him. Breaking ground to make a local business bigger.
Who's expanding? Ahead on Action News.
And paying more to park downtown. Call for action with a warning for your wallets. Next.
Extreme ice cream, new bars is it. Purple mint chocolate chip, what a dream. Ice cream.
twist. Oh yeah, Reese's got a hip and a split. Extreme ice cream. Introducing Breyer's Ice Cream Parlor. 16 fully loaded flavors that are anything but vanilla.
Been waiting for the ultimate chicken finger food? Try the Colonel's Crispy Strips at KFC. Made with the choicest cuts of all white meat chicken. Freshly prepared, they're moist and juicy on the inside. Golden crunchy on the out. Colonel's Crispy Strips are good enough to be a meal. So eat them with a knife and fork.
If you can wait that long.
And right now get 3 strips, a side, and a biscuit for just $2.99.
Boscov's biggest, most impressive suit sale ever. Select from our total inventory of over 12,000 suits in our Beaver Valley Mall and Clearview Mall stores. Every suit in this designer collection, $169.99. Over $5 million worth of suits by Casper, Oscar de la Renta, Pierre Cardin, and more. 100% wool, sizes to fit almost